The flow rolls continue, this time with Coach Cornell out of Riot City Wrestling in Adelaide, South Australia, my original hometown. I didn't have any interaction with Cornell until recently, being that I left the motherland probably 8 or so years ago. His career is a little more recent than that, but I have been back to run seminars, and obviously we have these camps in Perth, as you're seeing right now with all those Tupperware eating fools in the background. But Cornell was someone who, he's been around for a while, faced some pretty horrific knee injuries. I believe maybe a couple of ACL tears, which, as we know, is terrible. Horrible injury, takes a long time to recover from. So had a few setbacks and a lot of time off, but has come back more recently. He was at the last camp, the winter camp that we ran, which you can see on the Patreon in the live training section, but he wanted to roll. He said that last time. Unfortunately, time just escaped us. And I made a promise that when he came back to this super camp, as you're seeing right now, we would do the deed. So this is a good time. It's always good to work with people who have different styles, different body shapes, different experience levels, and it kind of just, it fares for a different role. And I found that a lot of my usual techniques just weren't working with a more heavyweight style opponent, but still a very agile opponent in Cornell. So the good part was he took the lead on a lot of it, which I do like. I like playing off people. Like, you know, I can chain wrestle and go hold for hold, but it's more fun, I think, when people give you certain obstacles, and it's very much a case of action, reaction, cause and effect, and that dictates what I do next. So working the wrist now. Very smooth wrestler. Is one of the first things I noticed about him. Snapmare, but he held on, kept it locked in. A little bit of storytelling, never hurt anyone in a chain wrestling flow roll. You know, I don't get to do these flow rolls very often. That right there is a little Tyler bait. he caught me with that one a few years ago, so I've used it ever since. But yeah, I don't get to do these flow rolls often, and it's not through anyone's fault but my own. It's just a case of finding the right time, right place. But man, I would love to do so much more with this. Make it a series, travel the world. Wishful thinking, but a man can dream. Now just getting him in the scarf hold, in the kezukatami, trapping the arm, which you can use for an arm bar. I like to use it just for a bit of control, and now handing it over into a top wrist lock, similar to an Americana position, but a little bit more like the Anaconda Vice, with my left arm wrapped around his head. And now transitioning knee on belly. Love the knee ride position. Gives you time to think and also just forces a reaction. Generally, I'm looking for them to push my knee away so that I can attack that same arm. But he didn't. He hipped out, re-guarded. There, just getting my hips in and going into a very sloppy leg drag. But hey, we got there in the end. Now, I like to use these kind of catch wrestling style cross faces, just turning the head away from the shoulder. Bit hard to see, but I've got my right shin in his back too, just to provide some extra leverage. But now transitioning into the surfboard. And then you see I used a little bit of a crossface for a split second, and that was just to help turn him. You know, my number one principle in a lot of chain wrestling or any sort of control is wherever the head goes, the body follows. So if you're struggling to move someone, control their head first. And then a little push away, cheeky little move. And of course, we're going to butt scoot because that's what I do. Especially, I went for an idiot sweep, as you saw recently, but then transitioning now into my single leg X guard. Definitely not a common pro wrestling position. Much more common in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I used that to turn the heel, and then I saw an opportunity for a step over toe hold with face lock, the old STF. Now, one of my favorite head and arm takedowns, that one there. little arm snap that I believe I took influence with Chad Gable. Used to do that one a lot. I really liked the way he did that. Here, I'm doing absolutely nothing. Just I try to be creative, and sometimes I'm just like, what am I doing? It's just I didn't actually have anything there except for a really half-assed top wrist lock. Now a nice crocodile roll. I'm not going to call that an alligator roll. We are in Australia, my friends. It's a crocodile roll. Just trying to posture up, create tension through the waist lock, which is generally first port of call if you're going to counter and break the grip. As you see now, a little takeover with the arm into a reverse Fujiwara armbar, but then rolling through. It's a good way to turn them to their back, and then I like getting the hammerlock, and then this nice bridging hammerlock there. Here, I tried to go for a bit of a shoulder crunch, but I just didn't have the right angle. You can see his arms bent, which you definitely don't want with a shoulder crunch. So abandoned that move and kept moving on. Nice bridging pin. Very nice. I believe what is often called the Australian style pin. I could be wrong with that. And keeping connection, which is very important. And a cheeky little escape to end the flow roll.